Hey everybody, and welcome to DDTS episode 722. I'm back with another video, but this video is not any other ordinary video. This video is a wrestling episode of DDTS. And I'm going to basically elaborate with y'all on this because I want to share this with y'all. Now, if you have been following me a lot of times, and if you have been watching me from, the beginning, or whichever you've noticed me, you probably know that I am a big wrestling fan, and that I am a big WWE fan. And I've decided, as I was, fixing my coffee, getting my room fixed up, getting myself together, I took me a bath and everything. I decided that I will be making a series of WWE moments. I'm going to be making a series called Wrestlers That I Grew Up With in My Childhood and Wrestlers I Still Consider the Best, and wrestlers that I believe are overrated, and wrestlers that I believe are underrated, and wrestlers who I believe, in my opinion, are truly some of the greatest and legendary and everything. And I basically share some of the most greatest moments of, the WWE, and basically give y'all my opinion. Now, I can't dictate if other people's that are watching my channel are wrestling fans, because I know it's some people's that say wrestling is fake, wrestling is fake. Well, to me, it's entertainment. To me, it's a sport. To me, it helps me navigate a bunch of things, and I love wrestling, and I love the WWE. Now, before we get into this, if you haven't yet, hit that like button, subscribe button, and that notification bell so you will get notified when I have new videos uploaded. Now, with me talking about this and me making this wrestling series, this is going to be the introduction / episode 1. But I'm gonna make a personal playlist just for the wrestling stuff. Now, the wrestling episodes, I'm gonna take them that I've done in the past, and I'm gonna put those videos in the playlist that I'm gonna create for my wrestling series. Is I'm gonna stop doing DDTS with the topics and the trends, with the trending topics and team? No, but I really feel like I can do that, and I can do, a wrestling series, a WWE series, and I even will go back to when it was the WWF, World Wrestling Federation, all that I remember, all that I grew up watching. Because I was a fan of wrestling since I was 6 years old, or younger, maybe 4 years old. I have my mama to thank me for. I have my mama to thank for that. May she rest in peace and God bless her soul. Yes, indeed. So this is going to be the introduction, and I'm gonna have different pictures in the background related to the wrestling and everything, and who's gonna be the topic. I might not have a lot of pictures, so I have to be very careful what clips I put in, and what I put in this video, because I don't want to get copyrighted or anything like that. So yes, indeed. So what we're going to do, this is going to be the introduction / episode 1. And I think episode 1 is going to be about the legendary and the late great Owen Hart. This episode of DDTS is going to be called DDTS Wrestling Series. I'm just going to call it DDTS Wrestling Series, Episode 1. In Episode 1, I'm going to make about Owen Hart. Um, I'm not gonna make a. I'm not gonna make a. I'm not gonna do a biography, but I'm just gonna include some things that I truly know, and I have my device right here. So this is where I begin my notes from. Now I will say this disclaimer: some of the things and some of the pictures that you may be see, which may get blocked out, um, may be too much for a lot of you viewers. But yeah, so I'm basically, this is something I've been thinking about for a while that I wanted to come up with. So this is gonna be DDTS. This is gonna be my wrestling series. DDTS WWE wrestling series or DDTS wrestling series, and I go and talk, just talk about, all the legendary stuff of wrestling and of the WWE or whichever. So this episode is gonna be Owen Hart episode 1, and this is season 1, episode 1. I don't know how many seasons I'm gonna do. I don't know how long I'm gonna keep up with this. I don't know how long I'm gonna do it. I really don't know. I'm gonna keep doing it, and basically I will be doing this wrestling series to give y'all updates on what's going on in the wrestling world in WWE now and today. So yeah, so basically this is going to be a wrestling series. I'm going to keep this going for a great amount of time, and I really hope that I can, keep it running. So if there are any WWE fans out there, and if there are any wrestling fans out there, if you are a WWE fan, if you are a TNA fan, AEW fan, I don't know too much about AEW, I don't even watch it. If you are a WWE fan, I'm just gonna tell you like it is, okay? So yeah. So this episode is going to be about Owen Hart. But if you would love me to do this series, if you are very interested in this series, and if you are very interested in wrestling, this is the right channel for you, and this will always be the right channel for you. Now, I might not be on point all the time, but I will be on point sometime. So we're going to go ahead and get into this episode now. This episode is about Owen Hart. I should have had it pulled up. And I'm basically going to do some talking from my experiences and from my opinions, what I really think about the Hart family and what I think about Owen Hart. But you can't think about Owen Hart without thinking of his brother, Bret Hart, because those two individuals, those two men, they were very famous. They came from the Hart family. And they also have family members, that have been very, 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 very legendary. One second, y'all. So let me go ahead and put it up. Again, I'm going to have pictures in the background. So, related to what I'm talking about. I might not be on cue with those, but I'm going to do my best. So here we go. Okay, so Owen Hart. Owen Hart, who was a Canadian wrestler, professional wrestler. He was born on May the 7th, 1965, and he passed away on May the 23rd, 1999. I'm going to elaborate on that in just a little bit. Just hold on one second. It says, Owen Hart was a Canadian professional wrestler who competed for multiple promotions, including the World Wrestling Federation, where he was best known. He wrestled under his real name and as the Blue Blazer, a superhero. And I'm going to elaborate with y'all on that character who portrayed other wrestlers. Hart was a 4-time WWF Tag Team Champion, a 2-time WWF Intercontinental Champion, and he won the 1994 King of the Ring, which I had all the DVDs of wrestling at a point in time because I was a wrestling fanatic. I still am. and one-time WWF European Champion. His brother was the WWE legend Bret Hart. Now, see, I had to read from a card because I had to read from my phone because I didn't want to forget anything. I didn't want to forget my notes. I'm gonna take these glasses off. I don't care. So I'm gonna go ahead and elaborate with y'all. All of that Owen Hart has accomplished. It's truly amazing. But if we're going to be honest, I really feel that Owen Hart, if he was still here on this earth, and if he was still here, I think he would still um be doing promotion deals. I can't tell you if he would be still wrestling or this and that and the third, but I can honestly say that I believe, to my opinion, if he was still here, and if he had not have passed away, or better yet, if he had not have tragically died, I really feel like he would have been, a former World Wrestling Federation champion at that time. I can't say WWE at that time because it was not WWE, it was World Wrestling Federation, WWF. But again, his resume, he's a 4-time tag team champion, a 2-time intercontinental champion, and he is a former European champion, and he was part of a legendary family. He was part of a legendary family, the Hart family, and his older brother was Bret the Hitman Hart. I will be doing an episode on Bret Hart soon. Yes, indeed. I'll be doing an episode on him soon. But this time, I'm going to do it on Bret Hart. I'm going to do it on Owen Hart. And so, yeah, I really feel, in my opinion, I really feel like he would have been WWE champion, the World Wrestling Federation champion. He would have been WWE champion. I'm just going to say WWE because World Wrestling Federation is over with. He would have been champion. But what happened to him would be a very sad situation. When I think of Owen Hart, I think of the legendary matches that he has withstand and that he was in. When I think of Owen Hart, I think of him going against Shawn Michaels. I think about him going against Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think about him going against Triple H, him going against The Rock. I think about him going against his own brother, Bret the Hitman Hart, at WrestleMania. So, yes, indeed, he has been in some of the most legendary matches and has had some legendary moments. He will also join his brother, the British Bulldog, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and Brian Pillman, as they formed the faction and the team, the Hart Foundation. Yes, I think that team disbanded when Brian Pillman, he allegedly died in 1997. Yeah, so he's been in a lot of matches. Now let's go back to the Stone Cold Steve Austin incident, and I just want to go ahead and elaborate with y'all on that. When I say Owen Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, I'm going to elaborate with y'all on that just a little bit. I'm going to tell you why I say Stone Cold Steve Austin and Owen Hart, I think, had one of the most thriving and most feuds. Because within that time, Owen Hart went against Stone Cold Steve Austin. I bet a bunch of y'all did not know this, but Owen Hart went against Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Stone Cold Steve Austin allegedly said in an interview that when he was in the ring with Owen Hart, they was wrestling, Owen Hart went to pick up Stone Cold Steve Austin to do a power driver. He did the power driver successfully, but the power driver and the move that Owen Hart did on Stone Cold Steve Austin, it injured Stone Cold Steve Austin's neck. Now, a bunch of y'all probably say, oh, that's just the work, that's just the storyline, that's just the work. If we're gonna be honest, that was for real. Stone Cold Steve Austin said for real that he really thought, and he think to this very day, that when Owen Hart basically did that power driver that basically injured him, broke his neck, or did some damage, he felt like that was for real and in real life. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and put that out there. 1 second. And this happened at SummerSlam of 1997. Owen Hart infamously, allegedly, broke Stone Cold Steve Austin's neck with a botched pile driver during an Intercontinental Championship match. The move caused temporary paralysis and a bruised spinal cord, yet Austin finished the match and won. The injury nearly ended his career. Key details regarding the incident. The incident occurred at the SummerSlam 1997 in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Hart attempted to sit down to attempted a sit down power driver but dropped Austin on his head and neck, causing several severe injury. And yes, indeed. So I'm going to go from there. Like what I just said before I read it to y'all, that's what allegedly happened. So it happened at SummerSlam of 1997 during the Intercontinental Championship match. Owen Hart went to attempt to do a sit down power driver, but dropped Stone Cold Steve Austin on his head and in his neck, which caused him to get injured, and it almost ended his career. But with Stone Cold Steve Austin being a tough and legendary individual that he is, he successfully defeated Owen Hart to retain the title or win that title that night. He also was in matches against Shawn Michaels, and those are legendary as well. Also, Owen Hart is also one of the first wrestlers that I've noticed and that I've seen to do an insecurity. Half of these moves that we see a lot of these wrestlers do now, like these hurricanranas, I think Owen Hart was the first to do a hurricanrana. I think he was the first one to do an insecurity. And you see wrestlers after him, women wrestlers and men wrestlers, doing a lot of these moves that these wrestlers did back in the day. Because back in the 80s and 90s, you didn't see nobody doing stuff off the top rope. You didn't see none of that. If you did see somebody in the 80s doing something from the top of the rope, it was Jimmy Superfly Snuka. He about the only one in the 80s that basically was doing stuff from all top of the rope. Jimmy Superfly Snuka was. But yeah, those are some legendary moments that he had with Stone Cold Steve Austin. He went against Triple H, he went against Shawn Michaels. Always will be legendary. So now, I'm not going to go into full detail, but I'm going to tell you this moment. At WrestleMania, okay, 1 second. 1 second, y'all. Hey, y'all, I'm back. So I wanted to talk about another moment. We're going to talk about this moment, and then we're going to talk about the last moment, which would be the sad moment of Owen Hart. I'm sorry if I'm not, saying a lot, but I'm just saying things that I possibly, allegedly can remember. So, with that being said, I want to talk about this. one of the most greatest moments within Owen's Hart career, besides his title wins and his title defenses and all the legendary storylines and moments that he's had, is when he had a real life little feud and match with his big brother Bret the Hitman Hart. And this was at WrestleMania 5, I believe. I think WrestleMania 5 is the X, man. It was in WrestleMania of 1994, because I don't want to get it wrong. Or was it WrestleMania 10? No, it was in WrestleMania 10, I'm sorry. So it was in WrestleMania of 1994. And allegedly and truthfully, because I watched the match, because remember, I said that I had a lot of wrestling DVDs that I would basically buy at Walmart or Kmart or wherever I would buy, is when I had a DVD player. Now you can watch all the WWE stuff on Peacock, on YouTube, or ESPN. By the way, I don't think I'm going to be able to watch the Royal Rumble this year, because I am not paying that price for the Royal Rumble. For, I ain't doing that. But yeah, Owen Hart defeated his big brother, Bret the Hitman Hart, with a clean pin at WrestleMania 10 in 1994. I think that's the right WrestleMania. He beat him, and that was a truly great match. And at the end, Bret the Hitman Hart would stand up and clap his hand and congratulate his brother with all respect. And the same year, at SummerSlam of 1994, Bret the Hitman Hart was also the WWE Champion. Back at the time, it was World Wrestling Federation. It was a steel cage match. Bret the Hitman Hart would go on to defeat his brother, Bret the Hitman Hart, and retain his title. And Owen Hart, within that year, he won the King of the Ring. So that was quite legendary as well. So again, Bret the Hitman Hart had some legendary moments, and Owen Hart had some legendary moments with his brother. Now, okay, so okay, y'all, welcome back. So I don't own rights to the music in the background, but I'm gonna edit that out. So let's go ahead and get into the last part. Okay, so the ending is a very sad ending. On May the 23rd, 1999, I was 4 years old. On May the 23rd, 1999, Owen Hart died at the age of 34 following a 78-foot fall from the rafters during the WWF Over the Edge pay-per-view in Kansas City. His safety harness manufactured, causing him to land chest first on the top rope, resulting in a fatal internal bleeding. The incident occurred live, and he was pronounced dead shortly after. The key details regarding the incident include Hart was descending from the ceiling for a stunt as the Blue Blazer character when the equipment manufactured causing him to fall. The cause of death was he suffered a blunt force trauma to the chest, which caused internal bleeding and severed his aorta. The event, which was taking place at the Kemper Arena, continued after a 15-minute pause. The tribute night's episode of Raw was dedicated to him, titled Raw is Owen. Okay, yeah, I remember that moment, and I go back and basically look up that stuff. But that was quite a. I think that was quite of a sad moment in the wrestling world. Just like when Eddie Guerrero passed away in '05. But that's gonna be another episode. But yeah, that moment that was a tough moment when Owen passed. And I really feel that he shouldn't have passed, because what crazy is, because I looked this up, it is said allegedly that he basically was practicing the stunt way before the pay-per-view was even going to happen, and everything was a success. But all of a sudden, because that night when that accident happened, he was supposed to go one-on-one with the Godfather for the Intercontinental Championship. And he was going to be doing his stunt as the Blue Blazer, like how Shawn Michaels basically used to do back in the day, at the house shows and on Monday Night Raw and WWE Superstars. He's going to be on the episode too. But yeah, and I think that's weird, because that's something, it don't sit well with me, because how is you practicing this before the pay-per-view, everything going smoothly, but all of a sudden when the pay-per-view happens, that's when he basically have the accident and he fell to his death and he's pronounced dead. Now, Over the Edge pay-per-view, they cut that whole scene out. They cut the whole scene out. Good old JR and Jerry the King Lawler, when the audience was not listening, they announced the passing of Owen Hart and what happened to Owen Hart. I was 4 years old, and it's truly a heartbreaking and sad situation. And I will say this: I when I first discovered Owen Hart, because I had people telling me about Owen Hart. When I found out about Owen Hart, I watched his match and I'm like, oh, this Owen Hart, this Owen Hart. He was truly one of the greatest. And if I'm going to be honest, he was quite better than his brother Bret. But Owen Hart also has family members that are also wrestlers. He has Natalia Neihart. He has Davey Boy Smith Jr. and many, many others. Owen Hart was 34 years old when he passed away on May the 23rd, 1999, and he was born on May the 7th. I think. Hold on. I think he was born. Did I say that? This is gonna be a blooper for real. Yeah, he was born on May the 7th, 1965. One second, y'all. His mother, Helen Hart, who was born on February 16, 1924, and she passed away on November the 4th of 2001. And his father, Stu Hart, passed away on 2003, and he was born in 1915. Yes, indeed. So that will be the episode 1 of DDTS Wrestling Series, episode 1, Owen Hart. I hope I did good. Let me know how I did on this episode. And if y'all are wrestling fans, please let me know how I did, and please subscribe to my channel for more. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make a playlist so I can put all my little wrestling stuff that I've done so far and over the years all in one playlist so that my wrestling lovers can just go to my playlist and watch all they want. And again, I will be doing updates to what's going on in the wrestling world today. And with that being said, let's talk about this. AJ Styles is retiring. What do you guys think about that? What do you guys think about AJ Styles retiring? Is he retiring, leaving WWE, or is he going back to TNA, or will he be going to New Japan Wrestling? Or is he hanging up his wrestling boots for good? Let me know what you guys think. And if he's retiring, who is going to be his retiring opponent? Let me know what you guys think. And that is episode 1 of DDTS Wrestling Series, episode 1, Owen Hart, an introduction episode. Episode 2 will be dropping next week. I think I'm gonna do my episodes every Wednesday or every Thursday. Well, I might be doing episodes every Wednesday and every Thursday, whichever you know, I'll figure it out. But thank y'all for watching, and I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and I hope y'all have a wonderful Thursday, and I hope y'all enjoyed this episode of Wrestling Series by DDTS. Love y'all. See y'all soon. Love y'all, and bye bye.